Hello, it's Annie here, and today I'll be talking to you about the basics of uni so you're prepared just like how I wasn't. I just hope that it helps you transition into uni so that you're comfortable and that you're not totally overwhelmed with everything that's like sort of thrown at you. So let's get started. I'm going to break this up into two sections. One will be the structure of uni, and we'll be going on with these topics, the structures. Second topic will be the expectations of uni, and the timestamps will also be down at the bottom. Before I start talking about it, I just wanted to talk about what I'm doing. So currently in 2020, I am finishing up with my first year of uni in Melbourne University doing agricultural science, and I was not prepared for any of it, but hopefully my unpreparedness and experience will help you out so that you won't be like me. So let's get started with the structure. Number 1, subject choices and electives. There's 4 subjects per semester. I don't know, it depends on which uni you're at. Usually in the first year there's 1, 2, or maybe all of your subjects that have already been chosen for you. Just be aware of that. If you have electives, you get to choose what subjects that you have. Be mindful that if you want to do a subject in second or third year, there might have been a prerequisite of a first year subject that you have to do. So do some of your research first. With some unis, you have to do a subject or elective that really outside of your subject sphere. So with Melbourne Uni, we have something called breadth, where you have to do an elective that's kind of like fun so that you're not always stuck in a hole of the same subject every single day. Because I'm in ag science, we don't have breadth, and we also had all of our subjects semester 1 and 2 chosen for us already. It's very unique to all of the other courses in Melbourne Uni. That's one thing that I'm upset about, but I'm also really indecisive, so that really helped me out. Number 2, lectures. Everyone already knows about lectures. They kind of guide what you need to know. I'm just letting you know to be prepared because they go way faster than they did in high school, and you don't have the time that I had in high school to write down the notes really nicely, and you're kind of just left to your own devices. So I suggest going to a lecture before going to uni, just to experience what it's like and to see how you're gonna be able to note take and learn, and just not to be shocked by how fast it's going. With the lectures that are live, they're going to be recorded and posted on your university site, Canvas, whatever you have. With lectures, there is no attendance. Like if you don't show up, no one's going to chase after you, so it'll be very tempting to just not show up to any lectures and just do everything at home. But with that comes the responsibility of having to make time to watch your lectures, whereas if you go live, you're kind of like forced to watch it, and you follow a schedule, which I like, but I haven't been able to do because of COVID. But yeah. Number 3. This is something that caught me by surprise, and that is tutorials and workshops. I didn't think that I would have to be doing weekly work for uni that's mandatory, but surprise you do. So there's either tutorials or workshop that come with each of your subjects. Tutorials are shorter. They're usually an hour long, and you just go through a couple of questions with your peers or your tutor, and you kind of just like revise what you learned through a bunch of questions, whereas workshops are longer. They're 2 hours long approximately, and you're given usually a booklet, a small one, a PDF, like 5 pages, where you kind of just expand on your learning, or like more topics that you didn't really get to learn. If your subject is very like mathy or something like that, I don't know, you'll be there practice questions. With tutorials and workshop, they mark your attendance, so you actually have to be there and you have to submit the work. I don't mind it, I don't have a lot of like self-discipline, so I'm kind of just like forced to actually do work. And I didn't know that like this existed. I just thought you just go to lectures and you kind of just do your own thing, but no, you actually have to be there. Number 4, labs. That's if you're doing the science subjects. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you did science subjects in high school, you would probably have done a prac. You're still given a lab workbook to work through as you're doing the lab work, and you're not marked on how well you do the lab stuff. You're marked on how well you understand the context of everything. Even if you do the prac perfectly, if you don't understand what you're doing or why you're doing things or you don't understand the processes of what you're doing, then I'm sorry, that's what you're getting marked on. Do either a quiz or a couple of questions, and that's what you're marked. It's usually not too much, but they go towards your final score for the subject. I haven't been able to do it because of COVID, but hopefully you are a science student. Big brain. Number 5, we have assignments. Pretty self-explanatory again. Percentage of the contribution to the final score really varies between assignment. The size of the assignment varies. Like, it could be pretty easy. You could be doing it yourself or with a team. Choose your teammates wisely because it's not always easy to work in a team. Luckily, I have been with good people and we have done okay. Yeah, it can range from essays, which a lot of them are, to maybe even like writing a blog about something. That's what my sister did, or maybe making a model if you're doing architecture or something. I don't know. Lectures won't stop just because you're doing an assignment. You just have to do it as well as everything else, which can be difficult. Number 6, mid-semester exams. So if your uni does semesters, with each semester halfway through, your subject will be testing you on all of the things that you've learned so far in the semester. Because of COVID again, all of my mid-semester exams have been multiple choice, which is very lucky of me, and they've been open book, so there's no excuses for me to do poorly, but but usually they're not just multiple choice. And finally, number 7, numero 7, end of year exam and end of semester exam. So I thought that just like with VCE, everything that you learn in the whole year, it'll all be at the end of year exam. But luckily I was wrong. With the end of year exam, you're just doing semester 2 subjects, but please be prepared for that because I haven't done it yet. Mine's next week, so hopefully I do okay. Oh, the light's going away. And that's the same with end of semester exam. You'll be tested on the subjects that you've done in semester 1. Moving on to part 2, which is expectations. I didn't really make a list of like things to talk about, but here are some things that you should know that nobody really tells you how to do, but you just kind of have to figure it out on yourself. Then you're kind of expected to do it. So first I wanted to talk about note taking for the lectures. I have spent the entire year trying to figure out how I take notes, and I started off with just taking notes like I usually do in high school, just pretty much just copying every slide. But that doesn't always work, and some slides are just filled with words and you kind of just get overwhelmed. I tried not taking notes and just writing over the slides, but at the same time my mind just didn't like put everything together. Like it was still not in my head, and I still haven't figured it out. Everyone's different with note taking, so find how you take notes, and that will help you so much with learning new content. So next thing is readings. I never really opened my textbook in year 11, and in year 12 I remember opening my textbook for the first time in year 12 and being like, wow, this is actually helpful, maybe I should have used it. With subjects, they give you assigned reading that you're expected to do. I don't do it because it's me. But when I do sometimes do the readings, it's actually so helpful. So make sure that you make time and you know that you're expecting readings, and that's just the thing in uni. You're given the minimum amount of what you're supposed to know in the lectures, but with readings you kind of just extend on that. I recommend watching YouTube videos if the content that you're learning is on there. It really helps. But that connects with the next point I wanted to talk about. Uni is all about independence. You're kind of thrown in there and you kind of just have to figure things out on your own. No one's gonna force you to do anything, and what you get as a result all on you. So something that is really important is time management and priorities. Like I said, am not great at time management, and I'm also not great at prioritizing. It's something that I'm working on, and if you are already kind of good at that now, it'll be so helpful with uni as well as with time management. Also making time to do your hobbies and to do things that you actually really enjoy, because if you just do uni work and just watch lectures and take notes and do assignments all day every day for a whole year, you're gonna get burnt out. I have figured out that I actually have hobbies this year. I've never really put much thought in it, but they are so important for your mental health. Please make time to see people, because if you don't, you'll just be in this like cloudy, grey place where it just feels hopeless. Well, for me it did, but make time for yourself. please do, because not everyone is going to check up on you, or no one's going to force you to run laps. So you set the line on what you want to do to get the goal that you want, and it's just up to you. Sure, we have lecturers and tutors. If you're stuck, they're not going to check up on you as well. They're teaching like hundreds of other students. So if you're stuck, you need to go out of your way to ask for help. Make good friends if you can, and also share information with people. Since my first year experience in uni is in 2020 right now, it's not your average regular uni life, and I'm not staying on campus, so pretty much it's been kind of like skewed and very different to what it usually is. But that's like the very basic of what it's like in uni, and I wish I had this video to kind of just like know what it's like to be in uni and not just go in there like completely blind to everything that's gonna happen. I really hope this helps you out. If you're new here, thank you for watching. If you're one of my 13 subscribers, welcome back, and thank you for watching as well. And congratulations if you're going to uni next year, this year, or in the future. If you're not going to uni, that's alright as well. But thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you liked what you saw. It's Annie here again, not Annie you. Thank you for watching. Bye.